Hi everyone. I was born on the Holloway Road in Islington, North London. And it's always been a source of pride to me, strangely. You see, it's the main road that runs a goal kick away from the old Arsenal Highbury Stadium. I've told people this hundreds, maybe thousands of times. Why? Because in my mind, it gives me credibility as a real born and bred North London Arsenal fan. Really born to it, not just chosen the name out of a hat. But this isn't about credibility. It's about how a football club becomes the thread that wove 3 generations of my family together and then expanded into a community I never expected. I remember my first match at 10 years old, walking up to the members' enclosure with Dad. There was a long burnished wooden bar with lots of grown men smoking and drinking beer and whiskey and swearing a lot. That first night match under the floodlights, bright red and white shirts against the green pitch, and the enormous roar of 55,000 voices. It's still vivid today in my mind, not because of the score, I don't remember that, but because of the feeling. So my father made me a deal that shaped everything. When I was at school, score 70% on my weekly school tests, and I'd go to the match that weekend. Week after week, I'd sit with my calculator on Thursday nights. My heart was pounding, just working out and adding up marks to see if I'd made the grade. Yes, I hated it. And sometimes I hated him for making me do it. I really did. And then came the one week I couldn't make it. Saturday morning, 68%. Close, but not close enough. Oh dear. I watched Dad get ready alone. Arsenal sweater, season ticket, keys jangling. He looked back at me in the doorway, and I could see he was actually more miserable leaving me behind than I was staying at home. And that surprised me. I remember this, the match was Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal, or actually Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest, and Arsenal won 4-0. An incredible, great result. When he returned home, he tried convincing me it was boring, that I hadn't missed much at all. Even as a teenager, I could see right through that little smile he was hiding, that smile of triumph. And you know what? I never missed 70% again. Not once. Years later, financial troubles forced Dad to give up our season tickets. My grandfather died after a match, heart attack, walking home from Highbury while we were on holiday. And we had a phone call. Dad died after watching Arsenal beat Paris Saint-Germain on TV. In that match, this is relevant, Ian Wright was sent off and couldn't play in the final, and Kevin Campbell scored the winner. Dad had a heart attack right after the game. He was watching it with my mum. At the hospital, connected to oxygen, struggling to breathe, I didn't know what to say to him. They lifted his mask and I leaned in, trying madly maybe to cheer him up. Dad, you might feel bad, but I bet you don't feel as bad as Ian Wright. He paused, trying to breathe. He beckoned me closer and gasped with that familiar twinkle in his eye. No, but I don't feel as good as Kevin Campbell either. Those were his last words to me. Not surprisingly, about Arsenal. By 1990, life had knocked me around a bit. Divorce, financial struggles, chaos. But somehow I managed 3 season tickets. Me, my 4-year-old son, and my 7-year-old daughter. She came, let's be honest, to be with me during these difficult years, to stay close to me. My son, he fell completely under Arsenal's spell, just as I had. For years, I sat surrounded by the same faces, strangers really, who shared the most emotional moments of our weekends. April 2006, they were tearing down Highbury. The new stadium, the Emirates, was rising. Progress, I guess, but a bit heartbreaking. When I tried explaining this to my son, he looked at me and said, "Dad, I really understand, but you really are such a sad old git." That went well. But I realised others must feel the same with me, of my generation, who were losing the old stadium. So I organised a pre-match lunch before our final game at Highbury. I invited the faces around me that I'd shared years with, but actually barely knew. My son and I waited anxiously in a pizza restaurant on Upper Street, off Holloway Road, to see if anyone showed up. 10 people did, 10 men actually, and something extraordinary happened in that restaurant. These men, who barely knew each other, started sharing favourite players, greatest matches, and then it went deeper. They talked about the people who brought them to their first matches, fathers, uncles, brothers, mothers, many now dead. Some admitted these Saturday afternoons were the best parts of their lives. Maybe the only parts that really made sense. When someone said we needed to hurry because a kickoff was coming, I asked everyone to stand and close their eyes. We stood with arms around each other, imagining the spirits of all those who first walked into this stadium with us, and we were saying goodbye to them. One burly fellow said, "Wow, gonna put that in my book of memories." He had a book of memories? That's very Game of Thrones, isn't it? We walked down Holloway Road with our arms around each other and arrived together for the last time before being scattered across the new stadium with the apportioned seats. We won 4-2. Every goal we pulled into celebratory huddles. And then it was over. Celebrations and tears in a half-empty stadium. I sat with my son for a while, staring at the empty pitch. Stuart, the ex-bank manager who sat next to me, remained quiet in his thoughts. I saw a tear on his weathered cheek. We didn't speak. We just left. Just before the next season, one of the guys called asking if we could do another reunion. We've had many since. The group has grown closer. My son, his first match was at 4.5, sitting on my knee. He's now in his 30s. He still meets me before every home match at our favourite Italian restaurant on Holloway Road. And that 5.5-hour trip I do now from the south coast where I live, I wouldn't miss it. It was never really just about the football, although a lot about the football. It was about belonging, about having a place where generations connect through shared dreams, where strangers become family through shared heartbreak and joy that happens instantaneously. The beautiful game isn't just beautiful because of the game. It's beautiful because of what it builds between us. I do hope you enjoyed this. Thank you.